Hey everybody, hope you're doing really well. So it's been a very long time since I've made a video, and I'm going to explain a little bit of why that has been. When we moved into the building, there were a lot of differences from being at Mosley, and with our sound, a lot of things became exposed that I guess obviously you couldn't hear at Mosley. So I had to make a choice between making these videos and kind of addressing things widely, or try to really pinpoint some inconsistencies. And I think my overall goal in all of this is to create a team that is authentic all the way through. So I thought it was just a better example of me trying to lead by being direct and honest in a pastoral way instead of just making general, everybody should be here on time kind of announcements, you know what I'm saying? When it's like two people who are late, that type of thing. And so it's been difficult to be straight up with you, man. It's been, I'm not confrontational by nature, and it's been difficult to try to manage that balance, because if I change too many things at once, it seems like this new guy is just here to clean house. But if you go too slow, it seems like just certain people or certain instruments are being pinpointed out. So it's a very fine balance. But I think we're at the point now to where at least I feel I've made a case for what matters to me, and it is being authentic, being honest, and trying to walk with everybody to bring them closer to God. That's at the end of the day, that's what I am here for. And if that's not what I can do, then I wouldn't think this is the place for me to be. But I feel very encouraged by Casey and Pastor Marty that they believe in me. So, let's get it. Okay, so I'm going to start getting back to these videos, and it's more of a general thing to make sure everybody can get announcements from time to time, since it is such a big team and it's hard to get everybody together. So I want to start by talking about a few things that I need to do. I'm trying to make a focus, and then I'll say some things that I'd appreciate if, as a team, we can really start to move forward in doing. First of all, thank you for doing the survey, everybody who participated. First thing is I want to organize the scheduling better. I do 2 months in advance, but what I'm going to do is January, February, which is tomorrow or this week, I'll do the next 2 months. So I won't always have the songs in, although that's always my goal. But because of all the different elements it takes to choose songs, sometimes it's just not possible. So I'll do the best I can. But my goal is to let the plan be established a lot earlier. The next thing is getting resources. Some Songs on Planning Center have resources and some don't. So I'm just slowly going through. I say slowly, but I'm really trying to do it as fast as I can. It's still a big process because of how many songs we have. I'm trying to go in and make sure there are great resources for you to pull from. The third thing is working on community events and opportunities. We all agree the biggest issue right now is that people aren't close. There are a lot of ideas that I've been talking about with Casey and Lee Baker about how to get it going. So that's what these videos are going to be about. One is, in the survey, a lot of people said Sundays after church is a good time. So I was thinking about some Sundays doing a park potluck or cater some lunch. Also, the 5th Wednesday of every month, I think there are 4 this year, we're going to do a worship night then. So I'll start giving more information about it as we get closer to it. Something else I really want to work on is developing worship leaders. Singer-wise, we do have a good bit of singers, but I would like to really develop more worship leaders. And what I mean by that is people who take part of the spiritual weight of the church upon themselves, kind of like I do. I'm not just trying to play the songs in a set. I feel a responsibility in ministering the songs and trying to find a person or some people that I can bring with me. So that comes with exhorting, that comes with reading scriptures, building an awareness for where the people are, and being assertive about speaking to them and calling the congregation to some spiritual place. It's great that we have singers. It's not for everybody either. So if you're kind of like, Wendell, I feel more comfortable just being a singer. I don't really want to talk or do anything beyond what the song requires, that's fine. But I am looking to find a few singers who I can invest in, who are aware of their musical skills well enough that that is not their weekly focus. Obviously, when I'm speaking, if I'm thinking about what key the next song is or what chords I need to play because I don't know them or I have a hard time learning them, I'm not going to be able to minister in that moment and speak in that moment to the people listening. So I gotta have that stuff in my hands. Now sometimes I have brain farts like anybody, but I know what I'm doing on the piano. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm looking for. Lastly, what I want to do is help us all to become more just straight legit. I think that's the goal, is to be legit. And everything that I have as a musical standard, I mirror it with the spiritual standard in the same way, spiritual, musical. Personally, I just feel like it's the best way to think about either one, and that you can use one to help the other. So there are things that we're all good at and things that we're not good at, both musically and spiritually. And I want to open up and expose, not exploit, but expose the areas where we're excelling and the areas where we're not excelling as individuals and as a team. Because whatever we can be judged for, I want it to be an authentic sacrifice. I am passionately trying to move us away from anything that puts us in a mindset of performing. So let me give you some examples of how that plays itself out. With our spiritual disciplines in our private life, if there's nothing in your life that points to a song that we're singing, when we go to sing or play that song, you have to put yourself in a different mindset to sing that song or to play that song authentically, because it's not matching up with your life. Makes sense? So the goal is, wherever you are, wherever I am, you are, we're trying to slowly move so that the songs that we're singing really reflect something that's going on in our lives. Same way musically. I think if I'm obviously we're all at different levels of proficiency and understanding. I'm going to encourage every possible thing that helps you own the music for yourself instead of needing an outside source to supplement what it is that you're offering during worship on Sunday. And let's use capo for example. If I'm on guitar and I have to capo each song, capo each song, capo each song, if you don't know what that means, that's a little thing on the acoustic or electric guitar to help you play the same chords. Sometimes there's a reason to have a capo because there's a particular sound that you're trying to get. But if you don't understand the guitar enough to play the chords and you're using it almost as a crutch, in my mind, it's just not as authentic as playing the real exact chord that you're trying to play. Now, this is an extreme example, and I know it might seem like I'm asking a lot. Guitar players, you understand this. But my goal is to slowly help us all move in the direction of, is the chord an A? Then I'm going to play an A. Instead of, is the chord an A? Well, I'm going to move the capo to make it kind of like I am playing an A, but I'm thinking. So maybe that analogy did or did not make sense, depending on what you understand about music. But the goal is that we all own the music, whether we're singing or playing, and understand it and internalize it, because I think that there's an offering that you can give when you understand the gift you're giving. And again, this is a very slow process. Same way spiritually, it's a very slow process. I'm trying to always mirror those things so that in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, you can look at yourself and say, I am better than I was a year ago. I think worship music is great for a lot of things, but it's very easy to make a cheat code and just live in that cheat code. I just think if I look at music the same way I look at my relationship with God, there are new ways to be challenged for our good, and I want to pursue that. So the easiest way I can think about understanding that is just to say being legit. Like, what you see is exactly what is. There are times where we'll maybe have a guest or somebody who we like, oh man, we need a drummer this week, and this person's not a Christian at all, but they can help us accomplish what we're trying to do for Sunday. Sure, that could happen, but is that the goal for me? It's just not. It's just not the goal. I would love to bring somebody on so that they can experience a worship team who loves God. So to me, if the worship team is legit, even bringing somebody on to help us out musically, they're going to walk away getting more than we are, right? If they're just super talented and we're all like, oh my gosh, they're so good, and we walk away from each other and everybody's talking about that person because of their talent, and that person's not walking away being like, what did I just feel and experience because of our love for God, then that's not a win. That's not success in my it's just too easy once you're a good musician to walk into a place and just kill it and not be moved by God's Spirit because everyone's marveling over talent. And it just puts our priorities on looking at people and not God, which is the opposite of what everything in worship is about. So I just want to make clear what the vision going forward should look like. All of us are trying to become more and more and more legit with what we're doing, which means we're going to be getting better, exposing things that aren't consistent, but in that, loving each other through it. Like, deeply loving each other through every step. Otherwise, I don't know how else to say it, you're performing something. We are trying to create something that's not real. So I'm not trying to be the best worship team that anyone has ever heard of. I'm trying to be a legit worship team that has a Christ-centered purpose. Okay? All right, so what is that? That's all the things that I'm trying to work on. What does that mean for you? I would like everyone to think about this question. Every single person to think about this question this year. What do you want to be said about you as a part of this team? Myself, I'm thinking as a leader, as a musician, as a friend. When people talk about me, what do I want them to be saying, and then what are people saying? This isn't the true test because people can be wrong, but then sometimes people can be right. But because we're on stage, I think it helps us to become aware of what we're giving to others. That's the real goal, is that we become aware of what we're attempting to give to others. So as a leader, if I'm trying to give direction, but I can't ever be direct, even though my heart is there, people will say, hey, somebody else said this in the survey, and I appreciate it. I wish sometimes Wendell would be a little more direct, like with what is wrong and what we can do better. Just say it. So even though that's not my personality, if I want people to say Wendell has good direction, I've got to be able to be direct. I've got to say, this is what we want, this is what we don't want. This is the correct way, this is not the correct way. And right now you're doing the not correct way, right? Same thing with you. It's like, I want to be a team member that people enjoy being on the team with. Or I want to be a team member who can help somebody. I want to be a team member who knows their parts really well. I want all those various things. I want us all to be thinking through, what do I want people to say about me as a team member? Because in a great way, you control that. So I want to just talk about a few things that would make an ideal team member. One, understanding how your parts fit in with the song. More than just give me my part so I can play it. Having an ear for how what you're playing fits in the song, I think is a goal to go towards. Punctuality. Why is punctuality so important? Because other people's time is important. Your time is important. My time is important. And when we start on time, it tells everybody else, I value your time. That's why I'm always like, I'm praying at 7:30 regardless, because I want you to know I value your time. So that's a really important value. Being adaptable to change. The better you know your role, the easier it is to adapt. I'm not trying to change things up to keep you confused, but if you're never challenged in that way, then you'll never be able to build that skill. So I want to find that line where you're motivated to own what you have, but not where you're overwhelmed. And that's something I'm trying to do as well. But adaptability to change is a really, really helpful tool. Engaging the congregation. This right here, if I'm talking about something that's super important, God really loves you so much. There's just a disconnect. The ideal member can really care so much about what they're saying that I'm talking right to you. There's no ambiguity about who this is for. Who am I talking to? So that's a big deal. Engage in the congregation. being teachable, which I feel incredibly humbled. I feel like we have a very teachable team. Remember, these are all things that an ID member would possess. The last thing is just knowing your instrument intimately. Whatever instrument that you play, that you tell people you play or sing. If you say I'm a singer, if you say I'm a guitar player, I'm a piano player, I'm a drummer, I'm a bass player, then the onus of proof is on you, right? I didn't tell people you're a guitar player. You're the one who said you're a guitar player, right? So, in that regard, it's up to you to come through. And both you and I are, me as a leader, are giving an account for, whatever shortcomings there may be. It doesn't matter the instrument. It doesn't matter how long or how short you've been on the team. Any shortcomings that come, I allowed it to happen ultimately. There are always reasons and there's always circumstances, and we as a team understand that. But if we're looking at the ideal member, then their skill is something that they take complete ownership of. Okay, so let me talk about where we are as a team with personnel. So as far as singers go, let me give a short plug for Spire. If you have been using it, you'll see how great of a tool it is. I would like every single singer to use that app or BandLab. It's just like Spire, but hopefully BandLab can be used for Androids because I can't find Spire for Androids. Singers, the goal this year is for you all to become more and more aware of how your voice sounds, what your strengths, what your weaknesses are. Not so you can get down on yourself, but because truthfully, you're subjecting the entire church to those strengths and weaknesses. And if you don't know them, but everyone else is subject to hearing them, that's not fair. The more aware you are, the easier it's going to be for you to address those things and help them be more consistent. Again, I'm going to be here to help every bit of the way. I'm not here to judge you and call you bad. I'm here to pull out those things that are not consistent and move them forward. Why am I saying that? Because if there are singers who have more consistencies, it's easier for everybody to use those people more often. So the better you know your instrument and the better you're using it, the easier it's going to be for me to schedule you. If I know it's going to take a lot of more work for you to get a part together, that's more work for me, which I wish I had all the time in the world to work with you, but I just don't, right? And the rest of the team is subject to that as well. Again, we're serving each other with our gifts. So whether that's guitar, whatever the instrument might be, if you aren't aware of what your strengths and weaknesses are, it's costing everybody else time. Okay? So right now there are like 17 singers, and I'm trying to find the most consistent people so that rehearsals and worship can go better and we can start thinking more about the people and less about those things. Okay. EG1, we have one EG1. It's pretty much just Taylor Henderson right now. I would like to get four deep of each instrument. That way there's a healthy rotation. Nobody feels like they make or break the worship team. So 4 EG1s. EG2, pretty much Kyle is playing that role. So EG2, you're playing chords for a lot of the parts. Sometimes there are some lines, but it's really that electric driving sound. There are standards for these roles. The number system is a really, really big deal. Acoustic guitar, we have 3. John, Corey, Kyle. Kyle switches back a lot between acoustic and electric. Again, Taylor, he's just necessary on EG1. Taylor can play it all. But since he's the only one, we kind of need him there. Also, Jack and Dan play acoustic guitar, but they're used in the drum roll. Bass, we have 2. I'm not counting myself on any of this. Bass, we have 2. Ryan and Tim, so it'd be great to have 2 more. Piano, 2. Obviously, Elizabeth and Thomas. And I would say both of those are the keys roles, where I'm the piano role. The piano role is kind of like an EG1, where you're not just playing the chords of the song. It's more of a lead role. Like I feel the way that I'm playing is more leading the song and filling in the spaces the same way EG1 does, instead of just playing the chords behind. We need both. Both are very, just like EG1 and EG2. I don't always play every single chord, every single song. I'm kind of just filling in the spaces. So keys role, we have 2. Drums, we have 4. George, Dan, Jack, and Nate. So there's rotation there. So band-wise, we are looking for some more. If someone tells you that they play an instrument, tell them they can definitely apply. But I'm going to post at the very end, or maybe I'll put it right here, all the things that really matter and they need to have these together. Otherwise, I don't have the time to invest all that extra stuff. Okay? All right. I wish I did, but I just don't. The last thing is the community stuff. I'm going to try to do a lot more this year, but if you would like to host an event, please, it is welcomed. Nina did the shrimp boil. Obviously, Taylor had the oysters at his house. I know Kyle and Elizabeth have offered, and we're going to see if we can get some stuff started there because they have a nice spot that we can all go to. But when there's something that's offered, come, do it. If you can find any way to be a part, it's going to help people know you. It's going to help you know everyone else. So if you're not sure if you could or should come, just come. Please come. Let's support the person who's trying to make community happen. If it's me, come. If it's someone else in the team, they're offering their home or their space, and we want this team to grow deeper as well as wider. And the way it's going to happen is us being together more often. So as opportunities this year present themselves, this is the invitation. I'm going to really try my best. Obviously having a new kid March 1st. That's the date so far. That's the date that we have for C-section. So it's going to be difficult for me to really lead a lot of these. So I'm incredibly grateful to anybody else who wants to help in that regard. The more we are around each other without music, the better the music and the devotion will be. Okay, I appreciate you guys so much. There are a lot of new things that are moving and changing, and I know it's hard, but I'm asking to believe the best about each other, invest in each other, pray for everyone else in the team. That's what we need. We need people to be praying for the other people of the team. Whenever good things start to happen, I believe that the enemy is going to try to work his head in. So be the gift of God that the team needs, and pray that God will bring more people to be partners in helping this team be as healthy and sustainable as possible. Thank you guys so much. Look forward to more of these. They won't be near this long. Since I haven't done one in a long time, this is a long one. So, okay, God bless. See you soon.